Hello, hello, everyone. Welcome. I see you guys joining. If you can, drop where you are joining me from on this beautiful Monday afternoon here in Colorado. I know we have people joining from all over the world. So we're going to give everyone just a second to jump in before we kick off this masterclass. Who here is excited? I love talking about gut health. It's part of my personal journey. I see you raising your hands, Paula. Thank you for sharing. And hello, Deanna from Montana. It's great to see you. I love seeing familiar faces. So definitely let me know in the chat where you're joining in from, because I love seeing where you are. And also too, it can help guide me with some of the recommendations that I make because we work with clients all over the world. So I see you, Jennifer from Charlotte. It's great to see you. New Jersey, you guys are going really fast in my chat box here. Nicole from Pennsylvania, Wendy from Minnesota, Michelle, hey there from Chicago suburbs. Great to see you again. Love it, love it. Allison from California, Sarah from Napa, California. We got quite a few. Diane from Los Angeles, quite a few California people. Hi, April from Virginia. It's great to see you. Diana from Ecuador. Yes, I know Ecuador is in South America. We've actually got quite a few clients that live in Ecuador. Hi, Lisa. It's great to see you all the way from Florida. Christine, you're in my neck of the woods in Colorado. Sherry from San Diego. Brittany, Park City, Utah. I was just there last week. Park City is amazing. So glad you could join us. David, Rochester, New York. My mom was born and raised there. I spent many summers there with my grandparents. Patty and the pups are here from Colorado. Got more Colorado people. Ruth, Pennsylvania. Brian from Virginia. Good to see you. Wendy from Wisconsin. Shelley from British Columbia. Perfect. Whitney from Greenwich. It's great to see you, Whitney. All right. I love this. All right. I see everyone. Perfect. So if anything comes up, the chat box is open. I'm not going to be managing the chat during this masterclass. If a question comes up, we are doing a Q&A at the end. So you can either write it down or pop it in that Q&A box. That will be the easiest way for me to see it. If you have a question and you put it in the chat, it's going to get lost because we're going to have quite a few people here potentially for this masterclass. So keep that in mind. Questions, Q&A box. We'll go through that at the very end. So make sure if you can stay through all the way to the very end. If you don't have any pen and paper, grab some pen and paper because we're going to go through some of our frameworks that I use to help heal gut health issues. And you're going to want to take note to make sure you're not missing something. If you have a computer and you're going to type and that's faster, 100%, just make sure you have something to take notes. So let's kick it off because we tend to go a little bit longer. I like giving everything to you guys. And also too, we're going to go through a lot of your questions I'm sure you're going to have towards the end of this masterclass. So welcome. Welcome to the Better Gut Health Masterclass. This is essentially where we're going to help your pet's gut health thrive by finding the root cause and healing it through a true holistic approach. So by the end of this masterclass, you're going to know what's potentially preventing your pet from healing. So some of the common mistakes that keep pet parents stuck. Who here is stuck or feels stuck? Like raise your hand. I can see you guys. If you raise your hand, I see you. Okay, perfect. Not perfect that you're stuck, but that a lot of you look like you're stuck. So we're going to get you hopefully unstuck with some of the things we're going to talk about. And we're also going to talk about where conventional medicine falls short for true healing. Now, I'm not against conventional medicine. If you've heard me talk before, hopefully you know that. I'm an integrative holistic veterinarian, so I have a lot of conventional knowledge, and that's my background. However, there's so much power and beauty with the holistic approach and integrating it in. Conventional medicine is necessary for a lot of acute situations, but as you're potentially finding yourself stuck in a vicious cycle of, symptoms, going back and forth to the vet, this is where conventional medicine is not a good place to be because it's not good at treating root imbalances. And then also too, we're going to go through the 5-step framework. You're going to get a couple different types of pillars and frameworks that I use to help heal gut health problems. So really dialing in and being able to become that investigator for your pet to find the root cause and get to the real issue using a true holistic approach to healing. Because you may think you're using holistic medicine, but you may be using it kind of like conventional medicine. So we're going to touch on that today. And then, of course, I want you to stick around until the end. So we're going to have a live Q&A. There's an opportunity to go deeper. It's something that I haven't actually released before. So I'm really, really excited. And also too, for optimal viewing, if you're on a desktop, great. If you can switch to a desktop, it just makes it easier to see the slides and, engage on there, but no worries if you can only listen in on your phone. But first, I'm going to go through a little bit about me. And I want to ask and kind of poll our group of pet parents here live. Who is familiar or has seen any of my information before? Just put your hand up. That's probably the easiest way for me to see. Okay, perfect. Quite a few of you. I love it. I always say sometimes it takes like 7 or 8 times before it kind of sticks, right? And so I love that you guys are coming back for more information, more education, and hopefully you learn something new and different, because my knowledge changes and grows every day with the things that we're learning. Now, if you're excited about this topic, let me know too. Put your hands back up. I love seeing you guys engage. Love it. Perfect. In the chat, I want you to drop why you're here. What is potentially holding you back from achieving optimal health for your pets? So drop that in the chat box. I see you guys. Okay, I see allergies. I like seeing what we're working with, because this will come into play too, especially with the questions at the end. If anyone else feels comfortable sharing, helping your babies live, perfect. Educate your clients. Love that. That's part of my mission. Okay. Lots of diarrhea, anxiety, allergies, hairballs, constipation, acid reflux, protein losing enteropathy, ear infections. Okay. You guys are all in a good place. I mean, not in terms of pet health, right? That's why you're here. But we're going to be going through why those things are happening, because here's the thing. They're all symptoms, and we treat all of these conditions that you guys are unfortunately having to deal with your pets and watching them not feel their best. So we're going to go through that. So thank you for sharing that with me. So first off, let's go through who I am a little bit, just for our new pet parents that are joining us. You didn't know who I am. I'm Dr. Katie Woodley. I essentially work with pet parents across the globe, helping them heal their pets through a holistic approach that really empowers them to feel confident using herbs, fresh food options, acupuncture, acupressure, really dialing things in to get to the root cause. So we're not just treating symptoms anymore. We're going a bit deeper and looking at how everything is interconnected. The Natural Pet Doctor, we're a tiny but mighty team, and we're here really to help provide hope again for pet parents, and that there are really answers for why your pet may not be improving and a path forward. Most importantly, though, I'm a wife to my amazing husband. I'm a cat mom currently to 3 black cats. But if you know my story, you know I have a soul German Shepherd, Finn, that I love dearly, and he's a part of our story you're going to hear about. And essentially, I'm a veterinarian who's on a crazy mission to make sure that you guys know that holistic medicine is there for you, and most importantly, how to use it the right way. But my journey here was not the easiest. And this is something where my wonderful husband unfortunately developed an autoimmune disease about 10 years ago. So it's been a while now. And this is where everything changed. I will never forget sitting across the doctor's office table, hearing those words from my husband: there's nothing more you can do. Strong immunosuppressive drugs that don't really work. They come with lots of side effects, and not really being able to do what we always used to do, being really active people. And all of a sudden now you're spending time in the hospital. You're not really getting a clear path forward. You're not getting the guidance and help. But this kind of setback, right? This path in our life was where everything changed, because this is where I dove into those rabbit holes that probably a lot of you are in right now, trying to figure out the path forward. And this is where I learned about an entirely different world of medicine that focused on root cause versus symptomatic care. And this is also where, through my research on the human side, I realized that I could be doing so much more and better for my patients. So on the animal side. So I became acupuncture certified, Chinese herbal medicine certified. I'm now food therapy certified. But I quickly came up against other vets in my practice, so other colleagues that really didn't like it, right? I don't know if anyone else here has heard like, oh, you're just doing voodoo medicine or the woo-woo, and they just didn't believe in it. And it was really hard and frustrating to get the results that I knew that I could get with my clients being stuck in a setting like that. And you might be experiencing that right now with your own veterinarians and hearing what you're doing is not working, it's not right, it might cause harm, or it won't make a difference. But here's the thing. I was so grateful for going down that path because tests in life will always come up, right? Who here is going through a test or a challenge where you're just like, why is this happening to me? And I want you to reframe that. Why is that happening for me? Because there's always a lesson in this. And I found through some of these challenges we experienced with my husband developing an autoimmune disease, it created the path forward. And it helped me help so many pet parents and even more today. But I was tested again because my soul pup Finn started having seizures and we diagnosed him with a brain tumor. Now, here's the thing. Before this even happened, we had changed him to a home-cooked diet years prior. So grateful for that because I imagined that things would have happened sooner. We put him on Chinese herbs. And then also too, we avoided 2 knee surgeries because he actually tore both of his cruciate ligaments. So like the ACL, and he was a 75-pound German Shepherd. We didn't need to do surgery. But here's the thing, when he started having seizures, he had massive brain swelling and he didn't do well with conventional drugs. Got really sick. He stopped eating. He had vomiting, diarrhea. This dog never missed a meal in his life. And I was actually told by the specialists that there was nothing else we could do for him on the conventional medicine side other than brain surgery, which I wasn't going to do on a 11-year-old German Shepherd, or radiation. And he probably had a week left. And those weren't guarantees. But here's the thing. I knew because of the path and the challenges and the training and going down this holistic side of medicine, I could do something for him. And we were actually able to gain another year of amazing quality of life for him when there was nothing left on the conventional side. So Finn now lives on. He's no longer with us. He passed a couple years ago, but he helped me realize that there are so many pet parents out there that are being told every day, there's nothing else you can do, or just wait and see, when there's actually this entire world of medicine that we can tap into. And so this is where and why my drive to help educate and empower pet parents online is so strong, because Finn helped show me that when he was given a week to live and seeing all the results with my patients, there's more we can do. Seeing my husband's life change by integrating in a holistic approach when we were told there's nothing other than strong drugs. But here's the thing, and this is where a lot of pet parents get stuck with trying different things, trying different supplements, different foods, bouncing all around. There's actually a framework that we need to follow for healing gut health concerns. So this is what we're going to be talking about today, is going through that framework that I use to help achieve success, like in my own human and fur family, and also with my patients. So you guys excited to learn a bit more, hearing a bit about kind of my story, where I came from? Let me know by putting your hand up if you're excited about that. Perfect. Thank you, guys. Now, here's the thing. You might be looking down that rabbit hole, or you might be stuck in the rabbit hole. Who here is stuck in the rabbit hole, right? And there's a lot of time spent researching and wondering, like, what am I doing? Is there an answer for my pet? Where am I going wrong? And that's probably why you're here today. And I get it. Once again, you heard like what I had to say. I've been there myself. Now, here's the thing. I want to ask you, and this is where, being truthful, being honest with ourselves is the first step to creating true progress. Who here feels like they're stuck in a hope strategy where we're trying all the different things? Maybe we're buying the different supplements, and all of a sudden we open the cabinet and there's a supplement graveyard. Who here has a supplement graveyard? I've had one. I'm totally guilty, because you're always wanting and hoping that the next thing will work. But the problem is when we're trying supplement after supplement to fix the problem, we're always hoping the next one works. But it's essentially like taking a bucket that's full of holes and filling it with water. What's the water going to do? It's just going to spill out, right? We actually have to fix the holes first. So these are like the gaps and the imbalances and the layers that we have to peel back. So, it's time to get rid of the bucket with holes and come up with a better approach. Now, I want to make sure I'm not wasting anyone's time here. So you're in the right place for this masterclass. If you're ready for a change in your pet's care, there's a better way to achieve optimal gut health, but you're kind of overwhelmed or you're just not sure where to start. You might be frustrated and tired of all the vet visits and bills that don't give you progress. You want to know you're doing everything possible to help your pets heal their gut health problems. You're ready to take action, right? It's so easy to get stuck learning in that rabbit hole, and we never end up implementing what we learn. And you may be curious about different ways to achieve health in your entire fur family. Now, I'm going to tell you, just so I'm always super transparent. That's one thing I always say, and I truly live by or try to practice by that every single day. If this resonates with you on this slide, don't bother. That's okay. I don't want to waste the potentially an hour and a half of your beautiful afternoon or evening, wherever you are in the world, but leave the masterclass. It's not worth it if you're looking for quick fixes. You don't really care about finding the root cause. You don't have time to take the action. You think you already know everything about pet medicine. You only believe there's one way to look at health. And here's the thing. We're going to go at least 60 minutes, probably go a little bit longer. And I go through the strategy and the frameworks that's helped hundreds of pets and my patients. And if you decide to complain that I provide a way for you to go deeper at the end of this presentation, this is probably not the masterclass for you, because I'm going to be presenting something at the end that's a helpful solution for probably a lot of pet parents here. But I also want to bring up what happens if we do nothing. So a lot of times I find pet parents get stuck. We get overwhelmed, we start researching, we're trying things, we're like, I tried everything, nothing is working. And then we just stop taking action. Now, here's the thing, does the problem actually go away if we stop taking action? Well, I can tell you the problem doesn't go away. And what happens then is that pets can actually get more sick. So you might have seen this yourself, causing you to feel more upset and overwhelmed, and maybe even feel guilty that you couldn't help your pets more. Now, I want to give a little bit of faith and belief, because we've helped pets overcome allergies, liver disease, IBD, leaky gut, many other diseases. We've helped increase remission times with things like cancer, get off prescription diets. I typically don't recommend prescription diets because I don't need them, because of the way that I help pet parents and pets achieve optimal health. Prevent disease, that proactive approach is key. Feel their best, reduce vet bills and vet visits. Does anyone here really enjoy going back and forth to the vet and spending a bunch of money? I haven't found someone that really enjoys that. So you're probably a unique unicorn if you're enjoying that, right? So I think reducing vet bills is probably like on the list to tick off for most people here. Am I right? You can let me know in the chat. And then, of course, we help pet parents, most importantly, feel confident and supported. You're on the right path with integrating in holistic pet care. So this is a completely different strategy. It may be new if you're new to the world of integrative holistic medicine. And I always refer to this because I see it happen all the time. We want to make sure we're not missing the forest for the trees. The trees are like symptoms. We need to take the step back, look at the bigger picture, and find those root imbalances and address the connecting areas that are causing the true issue or issues, rather than just treating symptoms by following a framework, rather than just guessing and throwing like mud at the wall and hoping it sticks. So make sure that you turn off all distractions so you can really dial this information in, because it's really, really important, not only for your pets, but also for you too as a human. A lot of these same principles, actually every single one of them, can be applied to yourself too. Now, I love this quote because here's the thing. The day you don't need me is the beautiful day that we all hope for. Because if you become empowered enough and confident enough to be able to find those root imbalances and know and how and what to choose for your pets, fantastic. That is the goal. The greatest medicine is teaching people how not to need it. Does that resonate with anyone else? I love that quote. It actually gives me chills. So definitely take a snapshot of that and use it as your guide, as your light to help propel you onto this path. So if you're ready to learn more, make sure you keep an open mind. Give me a ready in the chat. I love how engaging you guys already are. That's really important. We need to bring the energy, right? A lot of you are probably experiencing chronic pet health issues. It can feel really deep and dark. And I want you to feel the light. I want you to feel the energy. I want you to know there is a path and there are frameworks that you can start using at your fingertips. And I most importantly want you to imagine and set the intention of where your pet's health could be in 1 year. And if you have pen and paper, this works really well. Write down your intention. If you feel inclined to share it in the chat, I love you guys. I see you, the readies. I love it. Share your intention. What is your intention for this masterclass? What is your intention for a year's time with your pet and where they're at with their overall health? Because that intention is going to help ground you and get you through the ups and downs when we have a journey to go on. This is a journey. There will be ups and downs. But I want you to consider this a fast pass, because once you start being able to see these areas, it will change everything for you. I love it. Achieving optimal health. Thank you, Nicole, for sharing. I love that. That's what we're going to talk about today. Now, getting Kiki to her best health. Get educated, heal Lincoln's gut health, and provide best health for our family. Thank you, everyone, for sharing. I appreciate that. It can feel a bit vulnerable, but putting it out there in the universe and sending that energy out is really, really helpful. So I appreciate all you sharing that. I see everybody posting. Thank you. So now looking at this graph, right? Some of you may have already seen it. If you haven't seen it, welcome to my pillars. These are 5 pillars to achieving optimal health and being able to find the root and balance to stop just treating symptoms. Now, it seems really simple, right? However, this is what I go back to for every single patient, for every single pet of mine, for my own health, my husband's health, when I'm talking to family members about their health. And sometimes, though, it can feel really overwhelming because it's so simple and you're not sure where to turn and what to do. And maybe you feel like you've tried everything. But these could also be new concepts to you if your vet hasn't discussed these areas. So let's start by breaking it down. Now, first, I want to talk about observation, because a lot of times we get stuck in trying all the different things. And the goal here is to really appreciate what is working and what's not. And the big thing for me is asking questions. The better quality question, the better quality answer we're going to get. So we want to ask, why is something happening? Not necessarily what to give. I want to repeat that because it's easily missed. You want to ask, why is something happening? Not necessarily what to give. So I have a beautiful patient that taught me why observation is so important. And you're like, this is a super easy answer, right? You're probably thinking, come on, Dr. Katie, this is very easy. However, this is one of my patients that came to me after experiencing chronic pain issues for many, many years. They tried all these different supplements. They were literally getting chiropractic adjustments every single week for years, and nothing was working. He still was in severe pain. He wasn't feeling good. But this is Roper. So Roper was a prime example of taking a step back and thinking a bit differently, because I didn't want to miss the forest for the trees, right? Pain. But is that right? That's a symptom. Is this osteoarthritis? No, it wasn't showing up on x-rays. So what is causing this pain? We need to assess all 5 pillars. Well, here's the thing. With the right type of testing and thinking about how those pillars are interconnected, we found out he was hypothyroid. So his thyroid was really low. And he also had heavy metal toxicity issues. And not surprisingly, His gut was a mess. He had severe dysbiosis, and all of these factors were impairing him from healing. So even if I just wanted to use Chinese herbs with him, which was part of his treatment, it wouldn't have fixed the actual issue. So I hope you guys can see, like, gut health nutrition. We have a physical health component. We have an immune system issue. We have an emotional health issue because of that gut-brain axis. And it's so easy to miss, but when we start approaching it very differently, it gets much easier. And we also helped his owners get out of that vicious cycle of hoping the next thing would work. So this is essentially how you get out of the hope strategy. I want this to be like ingrained into your brain, right? How we find the root imbalance and other reasons why your pet's not healing. We have immune health, we have environmental health, emotional health, physical health, gut health, and nutrition. Everything is interconnected. It is not one thing or another. And we're going to talk about that interconnection and how it can show up as different symptoms and how conventional medicine may be keeping you stuck, and some of the mistakes that you may be currently making that are keeping you stuck in that vicious cycle. But first, I always like distinguishing the difference between conventional and holistic medicine, because conventional medicine is going to treat symptoms. It's very limited in healing root causes. I'm pretty sure Rimadyl, Carprofen, there is a time and a place for quality of life, but it's not treating why that pain was there, just like for Roper. It doesn't connect the body systems. This is where you go to the gastroenterologist, and if you ask them about a headache, they're not able to help you. I've even had gastroenterologists as part of my path with my husband and our autoimmune disease journey. They've told us food doesn't matter. These are the crazy things you might come up against with conventional medicine. There's limited knowledge and health outside their specialty. They have very short appointments. I remember at the very beginning of my career, I had 15-minute appointments. There's no way I can literally find the root cause in 15 minutes. And it has to wait for a diagnosis. This is where you get stuck in the, let's just wait and see. We don't know what's going on. All the blood work is normal. And you're like, my dog, my cat is not normal. And it's like, well, we're just going to have to wait and see. And we're going to have to wait for them to get worse for it to actually show up on blood work. This is where today is the day everything changes from that. I'm not a fan of the wait and see. I'm a fan of a proactive approach. And this is where holistic medicine is very different, and it's focused on prevention, but it can also support those symptoms naturally. We can help quality of life while we're healing the root imbalance, and that can take longer, but we can still give our pets quality of life. We have so many more tools in our toolbox, and we look at everything as being interconnected. And it focuses on asking why something is happening to find the root cause. And we can actually heal without a diagnosis. This is a crazy concept for a lot of pet parents who are newer to holistic medicine, where they're like, can you treat this condition? And I'm like, I can treat whatever, because especially with Chinese medicine, I just treat based on imbalances. I look at the pet. I run diagnostic tests that are functional medicine tests alongside conventional tests. We look at the bigger picture. We put all the puzzle pieces together, and I don't need to wait and see in order to start treating your pet. That is the power of integrating in holistic medicine. Now, the holistic journey, it can cause a lot of people to fail because it can take more time. We are so used to things being sent to us right away, like instantaneous. Thank you, Amazon, for that. We get things delivered like an hour later. And unfortunately, now we're kind of trained to think that our health should be healed within a day, even though our pets have had symptoms for years. So this is a journey, and we have to shift the mindset that there's going to be ups and downs. And it doesn't mean that something's not working. We just have to keep in mind, we've got to peel the layers back that have built up over time and over the years, and it's going to take time. Also, too, a lot of pet parents wait for that diagnosis to take action. This is where we get stuck in the whole wait and see, because you hear it from the conventional side. I don't know how to treat it because I don't have a drug to give you because I don't have a diagnosis. So you go home and you just watch and you watch your pet get worse. And then you go back in and nope, we haven't been able to diagnose Cushing's yet. Come back in a month and things get worse. The inflammation builds up. Their gut health gets worse. And we don't need to wait for that. And then also too, a lot of pet parents, they use natural remedies like conventional medicine. I find this with diarrhea a lot. What should I give for diarrhea? There's a lot of great natural supplements, but you don't want to get stuck in a pill for every ill or an herb for every ill. You can give things like slippery elm or coptis herbs to help calm the symptoms, but you need to make sure you're taking the step back and asking, why did that symptom happen in the first place? Or the diarrhea will come back or other symptoms will happen. So make sure we're not missing those root causes. It goes back to observation and making sure we're asking why. And this is where the true definition of holistic, I should have put a W in front of it. I always say holistic with a W, the whole body approach is we're treating the whole pet, taking into account emotional, environmental, nutritional, physical factors, rather than just those symptoms of the disease. So keep that in mind. This comes back down to those 5 pillars of health and the diagram that you've seen and you're going to see throughout this entire presentation. The other thing too that catches a lot of people and used to catch me because I didn't really think that there was a problem until I saw a symptom. And this is where we are on a spectrum and we have health at one end and we have disease at the other end. And we're all constantly moving along this spectrum of health, either towards optimal health or towards disease by the choices we make, by the influence of our environment, things like stressors, the way our bodies are detoxing. So keep that in mind. We don't always have symptoms until the body breaks. And this is where, once again, don't wait and see if you're like, something's off, or, I want to make sure I'm taking that proactive approach. There's a lot of great functional medicine tests that allow you to see deeper before a symptom happens. So let's talk about how do you find those root causes. And this is a metaphor that I use a lot about a house. Think about a house. You've got this nice house sitting here. And we go inside and there's a crack in the wall. And you're like, why is that crack there? I'm just going to plaster over it. And, we plaster over it, we sit down and, next week the crack's back or a new crack is back. And you're like, why is this crack just like, why isn't my plaster working? And, you plaster over it again. Here's the thing. If we were to go outside and look at the house and look at the foundation, it may not be the wall that's the issue, right? This is like the symptom, but the foundation, there may be a hole where the house is actually sinking and the foundation is off. So I want you to think about your pet's health and health in general like a house. Where is the foundations off? Where are some gaps? Where are some deficiencies? Where we're not just plastering that wall and hoping the crack doesn't come back. Once again, taking that step back and looking for those foundations. And just a reminder, those symptoms are not the first manifestation of a problem. They're the last straw when the body can't compensate further. Once again, we're on that spectrum. So here's that reminder. Let's go through these a bit more and give you some tactics to really start dialing in those pillars of health. So we're going to go through a couple of them more in depth and then just briefly cover the last 2 to give you an idea of, okay, I need to look at my pets very differently, because if we're not getting results, something needs to change, right? There is always an answer. There's always a reason why, and we just haven't found it yet. And it lies somewhere in here. That's the key. So number 1, gut health and nutrition. This is not the only way to get your pet healthy. So it's a huge part, but I've seen so many patients come to me on healthy diets, and it's not the reason they're sick. There's other reasons, right? I see it all the time. Nutrition will fix everything. It's huge. It's very important. Gut health is key. Physiology, the way your pet is digesting and absorbing, but it can be impacted by those other pillars. So we're going to talk about that. So plant that little seed, keep it stored until we get to those other pillars. But I want you to also remember the food you eat can be either the safest and most powerful form of medicine or the slowest form of poison. Now, I always go to this. What do Cheerios have to do with pet nutrition? And I want you to think about if you were to take your baby to the doctor and you ask them, what should I feed my baby for the rest of their life? If they were to say, give you a bag of Cheerios and say, it's nutritionally balanced for all life stages, and you can feed it for every single meal, you'd look at them like they were crazy, right? Am I the only one that would say that to the doctor? Let me know I'm not alone in that chat box, or raise your hand, right? Perfect. Okay, good. I'm not alone. I'm not super crazy, maybe just a teeny bit, but you'd look at them like they're absolutely crazy. So my question is, why are we doing that for our dogs and our cats? We're essentially taking this bag of dry food that's on it, says it's balanced for all life stages, and we feed it every single meal. So it's like feeding Cheerios. And unfortunately, veterinarians are the only medical profession that recommends a dry processed kibble diet for the life of your pet. So if you're here, don't worry, and you're feeding kibble and you're seeing some of these signs that we're going to talk about and symptoms, this is an easy solution for you. So, looking at transitioning away from this type of food can make a huge difference and a lot of times solve the problem for your pets. Now, you might be wondering, okay, well, I'm not feeding that food, but I feel like there's still something going on. And so if your pet has any of these types of symptoms, there's probably some component of a gut health problem. This could be with the microbiome. It could be with the digestion, the way that they're absorbing, inflammation, but we're looking for things like weight loss, dull hair coat, autoimmune diseases, allergies, sensitive GI tract. So this shows up as like acid reflux, diarrhea, vomiting, excessive hairballs, dental disease, bad breath, even with clean teeth. So if anyone's here with that, that's a common indicator there's a gut health problem. Inflammation, ear infections, chewing at the feet, itchiness, anxiety, thyroid problems. Pretty much any symptom can have a gut health problem. And here's the crazy thing, and this is where conventional medicine falls short a lot of times, is that hopefully no one's eating. I apologize if you are for the vivid vomiting video. However, they tend to not think that a non-GI symptom, they think it's not related and they miss the root imbalance. But here's the thing. There's a lot of microbiome research that's coming out, and it is very important to the overall health of your dog and cat and even yourself. And this is where trillions of different types of microorganisms live inside your pet's gut. So protozoa, bacteria, fungi, viruses, they should all be creating this beautiful ecosystem that work together, are happy and healthy. It's similar between cats and dogs, but there's a difference in abundance of specific phyla of bacteria and also to diversity. Cats are not small dogs. Very similar, but they're not the same. And this can also vary according to breed, diet, age, environment. I can look at a microbiome test and tell you most likely what type of food you are feeding your pet, because that food is also feeding these microbes. Now, this microbiome is really important because it's breaking down food. It's helping to produce short-chain fatty acids, secondary bile acids. So these are things that are also going to help carry out the toxins. It's going to help with fats and breaking down fats, acting as detergents, vitamins, minerals, nutrients, hormones, neurotransmitter production. It's doing a lot. And it's also maturing and developing the immune system. We know that about 70 to 80% of the immune system is within the gut lining, communicating with these microbes. And there's connections too with the rest of the body. Remember, everything is interconnected. So when we start looking at, well, what does affect that microbiome? Once again, food. Food is going to impact it. So we also know too, antibiotics. Antibiotics aren't just taking out bad bacteria. So things like metronidazole, which are commonly used for diarrhea, they're going to wipe out everything. We know that proton pump inhibitors, acid blockers, reducers, so things like famotidine, omeprazole that are commonly being prescribed, especially for pets that have acid reflux, it's going to impact the vitamin mineral absorption and breakdown of food. So it can lead to things like B12, vitamin C, calcium, iron, and magnesium metabolism issues and deficiencies over time. And then, of course, non-steroidals, antidepressants, drugs are going to also impact that microbiome. And I wanted to share some studies because there's a lot of research now that's coming out on this that you can share with your veterinarian. That's key. That's how we create change in this medical system, is by sharing these resources, especially the studies, to show them, hey, there's something going on here. And I really prefer an alternative option, and this is why. So metronidazole, there was a study that showed that we actually had major disruptions in intestinal metabolism. So looking at tryptophan, which is a neurotransmitter that's going to help with mental health, bile acids. So this is going to impair or impact the way that fats are digested, the way that toxins are carried out of the body, and also created dysbiosis. Dysbiosis is an imbalance of the good versus bad bacteria. We had the issue for at least 4 weeks. 4 weeks, because that's when the study stopped. So here's the thing. Let's go to the human research. We know that at least 4 years, a gut microbiome was affected in humans after a short course of antibiotics. So more than likely, that's occurring in our pets too. So we need to be looking for alternatives and also asking, why is my pet's gut health off? And that's why they're displaying these symptoms of vomiting, diarrhea, acid reflux, because one dose of these drugs can create a lifetime of problems for your pet. And then 2, a lot of these pets will have nutritional imbalances. And it doesn't necessarily mean that your pet's not being fed a really well-balanced diet. This can come down to a microbiome issue. It can come down to a stomach acid issue, a digestive enzyme issue, where we're seeing deficiencies like omega-3 fatty acids. We might not be giving enough. There's actually tests we can do now to see if we're supplying enough omega-3 fatty acids for our pets, because a lot of pets are deficient. Same with people, even if you're supplementing. So zinc, vitamin D, vitamin E, manganese, iodine, iron, and taurine are also common nutritional imbalances. And these things can lead to other symptoms. They can impact that gut lining. They can lead to things like leaky gut, where it increases inflammation in the body. Deficiencies in zinc can also impair the skin integrity, leading to things like itching and chewing and those atopic dermatitis dogs, right? Or cats. And all of a sudden now you're on immunosuppressives when it was actually a nutritional deficiency. So this concept, this leaky gut syndrome, a lot of pets are walking around with hyperpermeable guts, where these guts are essentially becoming leaky. And when we look at the intestinal mucosal cells here, we are normally held together by tight junctions. It should be nice and tight together. There are certain receptors and pathways that allow electrolytes and water and other things to pass through, but food, bacteria, and toxins should not be allowed through. Now, this gut lining is 1 cell layer thick, so we need to protect it and preserve it and help it. There's also a mucus lining that lives above, or that lays above it, that includes a lot of the immunoglobulins that are like working like they're like the Secret Service, right? They're identifying toxins and bacteria, and they're grabbing them and removing it. So that way it doesn't potentially cross across this gut lining. But what happens when we start getting inflammation, things aren't working the way they're supposed to. Maybe that mucus lining is breaking down, or it's not thick enough to protect, or we get an overgrowth of Clostridium or E. coli. All of a sudden now we start getting inflammation, and that gut lining starts separating. And we get different proteins and things like zonulin being produced. And then what happens is now we have everything passing through into that bloodstream. The immune system is right there going, wait a second, this is foreign. And they start mounting an immune response. This is where we see brain on fire, behavior issues. We see inflammation elsewhere, ear infections, itchy skin, hot spots, anal gland problems, autoimmune issues, malabsorption, nutrient deficiencies. So this can be part of the issue, and it's commonly missed. Now, I wanted to talk about another patient, Leo, where he came to me with chronic gastrointestinal upset. He's constantly having bloody diarrhea. And this poor dog, he was only 2 years old when he came to me. He had already been put on a prescription diet at 6 months old, and he was still growing. It broke my heart. He had about 7 rounds of metronidazole. And here's the thing, he was still having bloody diarrhea. It was not the answer to the bloody diarrhea. He was not metronidazole deficient. So we had to take that step back and look at all those pillars of health. We knew we had to build up his gut and his microbiome. We had to adjust the diet. He had a lot of toxins in his gut, and that dysbiosis we had to readjust. We actually put him on a homemade balanced diet that was full of fresh nutrients and vitamins and minerals from fresh whole food sources. And then we supported his gut health and started healing that ecosystem with nutraceuticals and supplements like slippery elm, licorice, L-glutamine to help feed the gut cells. And we used anti-inflammatory supplements like omega-3s. He was really deficient, and it was leading to leaky gut, and it was creating microbiome issue and all sorts of behavior problems because of that gut-brain connection. But once we did that, it took a little bit of time because he had had the issue for about 2 years, but now he's a well-balanced dog, and he's not on a prescription diet, and he's not getting bloody diarrhea anymore. He's a healthy, happy dog. And the other nice side effect of healing his gut is that he's not anxious anymore, and he's balanced. So keep that in mind. Now, the emotional health pillar, this is really commonly missed. Very close connection to gut health, physical health, and also to your emotional health. So this is a commonly missed root issue where we need to look at emotional health, but we also have to start tapping into ourselves and our emotional health and looking at the environment and the family dynamic. And it's this interconnectedness why so many pets have the same health condition as the pet parent. Is there anyone here who's like, oh my gosh, I have IBS too. Anytime I get stressed, right? Okay, you are not alone. You are not alone. It is very, very common. I would say in about 90% of my clients, I hear this all the time, and I am not surprised anymore. But it's because of this close connection and the energetics and the frequency we share with our pets. So if we're crazy stressed, I would rather you work on healing your stress and your emotional health versus buying all the supplements, because that will make the biggest impact for your pets. So keep this in mind. This is part of the journaling, observing, becoming aware, telling ourselves the truth so that way we can make progress. And it's okay. We live in a stressful world. You are not alone. And this is where having community and connection and being not feeling alone in this is really, really important. So keep that in mind. I see you, I feel you, I hear you. You are not alone in this. Now we need to look at the brain-gut axis. So this is this connection with the vagus nerve. The vagus nerve is the biggest nerve in the body, and it goes directly from the gut all the way to the brain. And it's going to impact mental health. So if you have a pet, and this goes for both dogs and cats, all of this information, if you're seeing behavior problems like OCD-like behaviors, aggression, anxiety, phobias, fear, training issues, or you're like, my dog doesn't listen to me. Now, cats are cats. I always joke about that. God bless them. I love them. I have 3 of them. They're all very different personalities. So, a cat might just ignore you because it's a cat. But with like dogs, if you're noticing a change, or you're just like, they're just not getting it, or something's changing, we need to start looking at this brain gut axis more closely and deeply. Also, 2, cognitive decline. A lot of times cognitive decline comes from a gut health issue. And then of course, seizures. This is where ketogenic diets are, very popular now, or they're becoming popular. If you haven't heard about them and your pet's having seizures, reducing carbs, working on the microbiome, these are very, very important. So it's not just about giving meds, right? And this is the problem. This is where a lot of mistakes are made. This is the conventional solution. We see a behavior issue, we see an emotional health issue, and we reach for the anti-anxiety medications. But as you saw before in the previous slides, if we're keeping our pets on anti-anxiety medications, we can actually create more nutritional imbalances that then put us into this cycle, this vicious cycle of still having the issues or making them worse. Also, too, sometimes just reaching for supplements and we're like, we'll use the L-tryptophan, we'll use the things, the feel away plugins, but then we don't look at the other pillars and address and adjust the toxins, the stress levels. We don't work on the other things because it's easier to give something. It's easier to plug something in the wall and forget about the other things that might be a little bit harder. But this is also where the power is. This is where those root imbalances are for the emotional health issues. That gut health, we need to look really closely and deeply at what's going on in the gut and how they're digesting and absorbing their food and what's going on with the microbiome. We also need to be assessing toxins and heavy metals. So especially aluminum, mercury, I see these every day in animals when we're doing hair tissue mineral analysis tests. Stress in the household, the physical health, how's their lymphatic system? Are we exercising enough? That lymphatic system is what is going to clear those toxins. And if we're not moving, if we're not exercising, running, playing, that lymphatic system is going to get sluggish and toxins can build up and directly impact that brain by creating neuroinflammation, or what we call brain on fire. Also, the enrichment. Are we engaging? Are we using our brain, or are we just allowing those cats to just sleep all day? And then, of course, too, detox pathways. This is a huge one, and it's not just about milk thistle. We're going to talk more about what those pathways look like, because this is a huge area that you can tap into, especially if your pet is experiencing gut health problems. Now, Kai is a beautiful Rhodesian Ridgeback. He is so handsome. He came to me with so many health issues about 2 years ago. He had severe OCD, separation anxiety. He had parvo as a puppy, severe gut health imbalances, pathogen overgrowth. He had vaccinosis, multiple rounds of antibiotics. This poor dog. He was neurotic, crazy, and also too, his amazing mom. I'm so grateful she stuck through it. And she followed the foundations. She implemented, it took a while. She set realistic health expectations. She did the right testing, because now we have a lot of functional medicine tests that we can do, from looking at microbiome, looking at hormones, looking at for heavy metals, the adrenal stress. Are we stuck in like a fight or flight nervous system response? The thyroid, vitamin D, and we can get a better idea of where to start versus guessing and hoping what we're choosing is working. And then we set that expectation of the journey for healing, and we treat the root cause. We healed Kai's gut lining. We adjusted his diet. We made sure, because of the testing, we knew where those gaps were. So we provided appropriate supplementation. He had tons of behavioral training too, because it's not just the supplements. It's not just the food. We need to work on the environment, and then also calming methods. And his amazing mom also knew that she needed to work on herself too, because there was a lot of stress in the household. And I can tell you, to this day, 2 years later, they are both completely different and grounded and feel amazing. And I just love hearing her share her wins every single week. Now, the other cool thing with this, because as we strengthen the body by strengthening the foundations through these 5 pillars, you can tackle a lot more. Now, Giardia is a frustrating pathogen, right? Who here has ever had to treat Giardia with their dogs? It is frustrating, and it usually involves metronidazole, which doesn't work, Panicure, Tylenol powder, and even then multiple rounds of it. And then we've created a gut health mess, and then we've got to rebuild it. But a lot of times those pets aren't being rebuilt, and that's the problem. But with Kai, so he's super out, into being outdoors, running around. He gets out in nature. Well, he came back with Giardia, and he was actually having symptoms. We were able to use herbs and a holistic approach and no antibiotics. And he tested negative, and his stool solidified. And I love it. Her conventional vet couldn't believe it. He was like, whatever you did, I want to know. And I was like, yes, we're changing the industry. And I love that. So this is the thing. This is the power of taking this approach to strengthen the body so that you're able to combat when things happen. Things will happen in life, right? We can't always predict everything or when an emergency happens, but if you are stronger, you are being proactive, we are addressing root imbalances, you can bring your pets back much more easily when something like this occurs, and Kai is 100% proof of that. So let's talk about environmental health, because it's not just about avoiding things. I hear it all the time. Yep, my environment's perfectly clean. I use safe cleaning products and da, 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 da. It's not just about avoiding things. Here's the thing. We're going to be exposed to toxins. We live in a toxic world. There's an estimate, I'm sure it's much higher to be honest, 85,000 toxins a year we are being exposed to. You, your pets, and guess what? Your little animals are walking closer to the ground. They're grooming themselves. They're going to be picking up things, especially dogs or cats that go outside. We can't control what our towns, our cities, our neighbors are doing to the environment. And there's a lot of invisible things that are impairing your pet's gut health and increasing inflammation. So the more we learn, the more we educate, the more we become aware, the better we can do. It's not meant to scare. It's meant to make you become aware of these things. So that way we can do better. Now, glyphosate, this is Roundup. This is actually targeting the shikimate pathway in the gut. These are specifically working on how your gut microbes in the microbiome stay alive. It directly impacts them, so it's killing them. And unfortunately, 90% of rainwater contains glyphosate. We are all coming into contact with it. There are things that you can use to help heal and protect and remove glyphosate, like Ion Gut is a great product from Dr. Zach Bush, but we need to be aware of it, because even if your internal environment's as clean as possible, we're still going to come into contact with it. The other thing too is processed pet food is really high in glyphosate. I'm going to show you some studies. Flea and tick preventatives, vaccines, heavy metals, stress, mold, formaldehyde gassing off of furniture, curtains. You know, if you get your flooring replaced in your house, you move into a new house, blood sugar. So we have a lot of overweight pets, and it's creating inflammation in the body. And then of course, free radicals, oxidative stress. I put that in there because every single one of us, your pets included, we are constantly going through detox. We have our detox processes occurring, and we're actually creating more free radicals and oxidative stress, especially to clear things like heavy metals, to get them out of the body. So if we are not set up properly to deal with the normal processes, metabolic processes that are occurring, the way the mitochondria creates energy, we're going to become more toxic just from that alone. That's a naturally occurring process in every single one of our bodies. Now, glyphosate exposure, I hate glyphosate because our area and our neighbors use it so much, but the average American has seen 38 times increase in glyphosate in the past 20 years. It's everywhere. It's found, I put 75 there. It's actually 90% of rain. In the latest book, Toxic Legacy by Stephanie Seneff, highly recommend it. And it's in the drinking water. And so why is our pet's environment so important? So HRI Labs, so Health Research Institute, is on a mission to showcase people and to study the human exposure, but also the pets, cats, dogs, and also even horses. And so what you can see is that your dogs and your cats are high, dogs are even higher, and they're higher than horses with the amount of glyphosate that's measured in their urine. This can be coming from the food, especially if we are feeding a processed kibble diet. And then also too, if we're using herbicides on the lawn, or your neighbors are also, there's actually studies that show they have a higher increased bladder cancer risk. So I see this all the time with my patients who are living near golf courses. You have a higher bladder cancer risk. Now, here's the thing, just because you have a higher risk, just because this goes to genes also, it doesn't mean you're going to develop cancer. It doesn't mean you're going to have a health issue. It just means we need to do more and be more proactive to make sure that we're clearing that and reducing inflammation. The other thing too is a lot of these flea and tick products, especially the new class of isosazolazine drugs, these are super toxic. I wouldn't even recommend these for a pet that's in a high risk area. There's a lot better natural repellents that will keep your pet alive. And I'm not stating that to be funny or anything like that, or, over exaggerate. This kills pets. And when we start looking at the actual amount of adverse reactions that are reported, which I believe is only like 3% of the actual reactions that occur, It's insane. I've had patients too that have died from just one dose, but just because your pets experience no side effects and they've had it multiple times doesn't mean the next dose could be deadly or create seizures or neurological issues. So these are things like Bravecto, NexGard, Simparica, Credelio, Revolution Plus. You need to avoid these. This is really, really important. And I find this is an inhibiting factor that a lot of pet parents don't realize is actually creating the problems and the symptoms that you're seeing. And we have to detox them. It's not just remove, especially if they have a symptom related issue to this drug, we have to detox them. Now, conventional medicine gets it wrong here. We tend to see things like high liver values and your pet gets put right on Denamarin. And here's the problem with that. Denamarin's great, right? It's actually like a natural remedy. It's SAMe plus Silymarin, which is milk thistle. It works wonders. And a lot of times it will lower those values, right? Great. Did we fix it? No, because we didn't treat or assess why was that liver value elevated in the first place. So once again, we're using, rather than a pill for every ill, we're now using a supplement to treat an ill. And we needed to take the step back and ask the question, why? A lot of the conventional blood tests don't actually show us what's not working in the body. When we think about blood tests, blood is the highway for like nutrients and hormones and neurotransmitters. It's not very good at showing us when we have toxicity or heavy metal problems, and it's kept in a very close state of homeostasis and balance. We don't want that pH changing or adjusting or shifting. So it's not a very good test to show us like when we're on that spectrum of disease, like, is something going wrong before we even see a symptom? There's other tests like your hair tissue mineral analysis test that's going to show us where we have 3 months of a tissue level status of what's been going on in the body. That's going to fluctuate more because the blood's drawing from the tissues, especially if it's becoming deficient in things like calcium and magnesium, which is very common. So keep that in mind. Just because a blood test is normal doesn't mean everything's normal in the body. I've had 3 pets with cancer in the past decade, and their blood work was completely normal, and we knew they had cancer. So keep that in mind. Still need to do it, still helpful, but it's not the best test a lot of times for finding the root cause. So we need to do the right tests. And there's a lot of great functional medicine tests for ruling out gut health problems that I'm going to give you a list, because most veterinarians and even myself, I had no idea they existed years ago, and we have newer ones coming out on the market. The other thing too is that with conventional medicine, unfortunately, a lot of my colleagues are still prescribing those neurotoxins, those flea and tick products, those isosazolazines, and we have other natural repellents. Now, they don't work as fast, but they're not poisoning your pet. So once again, we have to shift our mindset about how we're using it and why we're using it. And conventional medicine, once again, is just not very good at asking that really important question of why. And so this is the thing, once again, as a reminder, why is this so important? Why do I keep saying why? Because once again, I believe that, using metaphors is really helpful for us to dig in deep and start visualizing where our pets might be. And this is where, let's, for example, take a pet with itchiness. And so they're really, really itchy. And we give a drug, say like Apoquel or Cytopoint injection, and they stop itching. And we're like, great, it worked. But it's essentially like a forest fire where we use the water to put out the flames like in the trees, and we got things under control. But did we actually fix the reason why your pet was itching? Because that drug is now blocking a certain pathway to decrease itchiness, but we didn't potentially remove or fix why that itchiness occurred in the first place. And so it's like the underbrush in a forest fire. A lot of times, if we have a wind come through and pick up, all of a sudden those flames take off again. And now we're having a fire burning out of control again. As soon as you stop the Apoquel or the Cytopoint, the allergies come back worse. And you're like, why is this not working? And it's because we didn't get deeper and find that root imbalance. So this is really important. Once again, disease and health, we're constantly on that spectrum. Just because we don't see symptoms doesn't mean we fixed it if we didn't ask better questions, do some of these functional medicine tests, and really address and heal that root imbalance. This guy is why environmental health is so important. This is Finn. We live in an area where everyone sprays. They have yellow flags everywhere. They literally just fogged our neighborhood last night for mosquitoes, which didn't work because we sat outside today and saw mosquitoes. It's awful. We are in a toxic environment. I can do all the things that I do internally in my house, right? That I can control. I cannot control what goes on out there. What I can control is I know that this is happening. I know what it can do for the body, to the microbiome, to the level of inflammation in the body. And I can use things to help support the body to get rid of that inflammation, to get rid of the toxins. I didn't know that with Finn. I didn't support his detox pathways as much as I know now that I should have. And here's the thing, glyphosate in humans, there is a connection with brain tumors. What do dogs do? They have their nose down, they're sniffing. He loves snuffling in the grass, grounding himself. We talk about sniffaries and getting out there. So it doesn't mean that you can't do those things with your pets. What it means is to be aware of the things that you're surrounded by. So okay, I really need to, in summertime, I really need to support detox for myself, for my pets, even my indoor cats, because they're coming into contact with toxins. That is how I approach it, by knowing that this is a huge pillar of health that will have a massive impact potentially down the road for my pet's health. And then 2, looking at these detox pathways and the oxidative stress. The gut is a major detox pathway. A lot of people don't realize that. And it's not just the liver. The kidneys are really important too. But if the gut's not functioning well, detoxification is not going to work well either. So think about it like a sewer backing up, right? You're trying to unclog it, and all these toxins are going in, things are sluggish, they're not moving through. And also too, if we have nutritional deficiencies or we're unable to absorb nutrients, detox not going to work efficiently either. And it goes back to, remember when I mentioned that a lot of our pets are eating foods that are deficient in these nutrients, but also too, they may be eating the best food possible that's like perfectly balanced, but their digestion doesn't work. Their absorption doesn't work. And now we have these deficiencies in things like zinc, omega-3 fatty acids, vitamin D, taurine, magnesium, manganese. And I want you to look at the detox pathways, because this is why I always say it's not just about milk thistle. There's different phases of detox we need to be aware of. Now, you don't need to be a pro. This is quite a complex thing. We go quite in depth when I teach on this. But for the purposes of this, I want you to notice something. I want you to look at the required nutrients for step 1 and step 2. And this is the liver. So then we also have those toxins. Once they get out of the liver, they're going to go through the kidneys, they're going to go through the gallbladder into the bile, then that's going to go into essentially the stool and out through the gut. And then we also have water soluble products going out through the kidneys, they're going to go out through the urine. But with step 1 and step 2, the important thing with step 1 is that we're taking things, so toxins or things that need to be broken down and processed, and we're turning them into a more toxic product. And we need nutrients to do that. So B vitamins, I'm going to take a sip of water. Your B vitamins, folic acid, glutathione, milk thistle, excuse me. That's where milk thistle comes in, vitamin E, vitamin C. What did I say? A lot of pets are deficient in B vitamins, vitamin E. A lot of pets are deficient in glutathione. So if we can't even go through step 1, what happens? Those toxins actually get pushed back out into the bloodstream. This is really, I don't know if anyone's ever experienced this, where say you eat like a really bad meal, right? You're like, this was so good, but it was so bad for me. It wasn't healthy. And you get itchy after. Has anyone ever experienced that, where you're like, gosh, my skin's kind of itchy? Like after eating this really just bad meal, like a fast food meal or anything like that. You just get a bit itchier and you're just kind of inflamed and irritated. What potentially has happened is that all those toxins hit the liver after that meal, and you may not have had all those nutrients to actually process it through step 1 of these phases of detox. So it actually got pushed back out along with bile salts into the bloodstream. Those circulate and you get itchier. So a lot of pets who we think have allergies are potentially deficient in these detox pathways. You see how easy it is to miss? Like if we're just treating a symptom and we're using Apoquel, it's like, holy smokes, we actually just need to support these detox pathways and get these toxins out. And we actually fixed the allergy issue, which wasn't even an allergy issue. And then two, look at step two, phase two. We need things like glycine and taurine. A lot of pets are deficient in taurine. And this is where we can use a lot of whole foods also. But this is a really key thing. And a lot of pet parents, a lot of my colleagues are not using this or thinking about these different phases of the pathways. And also too, using things like binders to bind to these toxins once it's actually out in the stool. So a lot of times pet parents will jump in and be like, yep, I'm going to use like milk thistle and detox the body. And all of a sudden we push things through to phase two, and phase two is not working well. And things back up, it gets recirculated and the body becomes more toxic. And you can see symptoms like vomiting. You can see things like diarrhea. And it's not because your pet was sensitive. It's because we didn't open up all the pathways and then use things to bind the toxins so they don't get recirculated. So this is really powerful. And I hope you guys, I'm bringing that across because this is a game changer for probably a lot of the pets here. Now, the other thing too is once again, tapping into that testing to see, okay, where can we better support these pets and have a better idea? We're not going to pick up heavy metals on blood tests. Once again, blood is the highway. The tissue is where a lot of these toxins are stored. So when we do a hair tissue mineral analysis test, we're actually able to pick up a lot of the heavy metals. Not always, but as we start healing the body and it starts getting it out of the tissues, the organs, the bones, we'll start seeing it come through the hair. And this is Roper once again, who had a massive aluminum issue, 44, like we should be under 1. No good. Like I see aluminum and mercury in every single pet. I kind of expect it, but not at this level. And this was contributing to his anxiety and his pain and the lack of his response to all the chiropractic adjustments and all the medications and all the supplements. So by supporting him through these pathways and through these pillars and helping those detox pathways in the phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3, even just a little bit time later, we've dropped his aluminum by half, which is impressive. And he's feeling and doing much better. So this is a great example of how we can use some of these tests too, to make sure you're on the right path. Once again, we're removing that guessing game, that hoping game, that what we're doing and what we're spending our money on is working. Now, immune health, once again, closely tied to gut health. I want you to be thinking about, is my pet's immune system strong, weak, or is it being overworked? And this is an area where a lot of people are really uncomfortable. You know, what conversations are we having with vets regarding vaccines and vaccine titers? And is your pet actually healthy enough to even receive a vaccine, or are they technically sick and showing a symptom, but then we're overstimulating them? A lot of pets are also being dewormed without even checking a stool sample. They're given antibiotics when there's other options. And potentially we're using those neurotoxins, those flea and tick products, and creating a whole mess of other issues. Now, I want you to think about immune system because it's connected to gut. And these are some of the most common disorders of immune dysfunction. So atopic disorders, these are things like allergies, but even asthma falls into this category. Autoimmunity, so IBD, thyroid issues, food sensitivities, cancer, chronic inflammation. So things like heart disease, kidney disease, osteoarthritis, pancreatitis, obesity. It's really important to understand, like, a lot of my colleagues and a lot of people are missing the reason for these symptoms, right? These are symptoms that were due to an immune dysfunction that also probably had a gut health issue and also a hormone issue, nervous system issue, and possibly even a detox problem. So we don't get to the root cause by necessarily just using a drug, right? There's a time and a place for quality of life. But if you're seeing these symptoms and thinking my pet has an immune dysfunction, we need to start doing some of the testing and addressing those imbalances. And then finally, the physical health pillar. So thinking, okay, it's not just about running and exercising. Physical health also includes mental health. So remember that gut-brain axis. And two, thinking about how is this impacting other areas. The reason this is a circle, and it's not just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 listed out, because they're all interconnected. They flow onto one another when we start looking at these 5 pillars. Now, physical health, once again, microbiome. So we know from studies that a lot of these pets that have anxiety or issues or OCD-like issues or emotional health issues, it's a microbiome issue. Looking at Roper, for example, he had pain. He had a physical health issue and he had a microbiome issue. He had a hormonal issue with his thyroid. He had a heavy metal detox issue. So we also need to be looking at the nutrition. Is the nutrition that we're using and the digestion, and most importantly, the absorption of that nutrition, is it helping or is it not helping that physical health? And then, of course, looking at the brain function, the joints, the nervous system, and of course, like I mentioned before, the lymphatic system and detoxification. And I wanted to talk about Spartacus because I've been seeing Spartacus and working with them for a couple of years through one of our programs. And he's had behavior issues his entire life, where he's a search and rescue dog. He's worked with like police dogs too. His mom is amazing. She's an amazing trainer. She's super into nutrition, but he'd essentially go into like a tailspin if he got too excited. And he's had GI sensitivities and diarrhea his whole life. She was spending a lot of money at the vet, not getting an answer. Does anyone else feel that way? Like you're spending all this money and you're like, we haven't really changed anything. Like, why are we doing this? Like, it doesn't make sense, right? I've been there personally, so I totally get it. This is where the right testing, when we dialed in and looked at, well, why are these symptoms, his behavior symptom, his gut health symptom, why are these occurring? And we're seeing that gut-brain issue, right? We need to look at his gut. So we need to do some gut health testing. He had some endocrine, so hormonal immune imbalances. So we saw potentially his mucus lining was too thin. He didn't have the right immunoglobulins in his gut lining. He had a dysbiosis. He had inflammation. His adrenals weren't working the way they were supposed to. He's not responding to stress hormones properly. So with that information, we are able to, rather than just trying all these supplements and herbs for him, be able to fine tune and adjust his treatment plan to get him the support that he needed. And I love Bethany. She said, the biggest positive impact that I've noticed right now is my new confidence in knowing that what I'm giving him is right for him. I don't feel like I'm guessing. I have new hope and definitely feel like I'm doing something different to help Sparty. I've seen a positive change in him. This is how you get out of the hope strategy. I know it seems like a higher level thing, but when we take that step back and we're looking for the root imbalance, and this is where we find the reasons why your pet's not healing. So I always want you to be thinking about how is everything connected and how could it be impacting or impairing the healing of my pet? So this is like the emotional health side, the chemicals, toxins, pathogens, nutrition, the environmental health. These are all going to play a part and they're commonly missed. And it can be a simple tweak and adjustment that literally unlocks the healing for your pets. And once again, why is this important? Then rather than guessing what's going on, you now know and can monitor the progress of what you're doing. So what this means is you save money by only using supplements that are needed. That's great. No more supplement graveyards, right? You use the right foods to heal, and you know you're making a positive step in the right direction to healing your pet's root imbalances. No longer are we just treating symptoms. Yes, symptom care is important. Quality of life is always number one, but we can use a lot of herbs to help. But here's the thing. It can feel overwhelming. But this is where being able to have a guide, have the ability, like a path, this is where it gets easier. So essentially taking one step at a time. I always say, what is the one thing that you can focus on today, that you can focus on this week, that you can focus on this month? It doesn't need to be a massive overhaul of all these things. But when we start looking at this framework, this is how my clients heal their pets following this healing framework. And just a little bit more, because I know a lot of people here are worried about gut health issues. Following this principle of removing, replacing, reinoculating, repairing, we have to heal the ecosystem. So if you have, say, a dog or a cat, and you're doing some of the tests, so like the microbiome tests, and you're like, I can't get it to stick, right? You're doing all these like fecal transplants, these gut restore capsules, and you're on like your 5th or 6th round. We have to once again look at, okay, well, this is the microorganisms, right? That we're putting in. We're putting in the microbiome. But what does the microbiome need to thrive? That's the ecosystem that we have to address and we have to heal. That's going to include the immune system. That's going to include the gut lining. And we also have to calm down the immune system overreacting. So it's not just about the gut restore capsules. We need to make sure too that we don't have a nutritional deficiency and that our pets are able to absorb and digest. So this is the framework I use to heal that gut. And it's not just the microbiome, it's the entire ecosystem. And this is also where a lot of pet parents will make the mistake of starting with detox first. It's really important. We're detoxing all the time, every single day at night. But here's the thing. If the gut is sluggish or it's not functioning well, this is where toxins get stuck. And if there's nutrient deficiencies, as you saw through that pathway, those different phases of detoxification, it's not going to work well. Toxins are going to get stuck. They're going to get recirculated. And a lot of times they get stored and then they build up. So keep that in mind when you're thinking about it. It's not one or the other. And I also wanted to show this because there's a lot of great functional medicine tests that you may not even be aware of that help pinpoint and find too that I want you to be aware of. This is things like animal biome, microbiome tests. There's other ones too out there to look for the dysbiosis and the diversity. The function tests do we actually have leaky gut or inflammation? We can do blood work. There's special stool tests from Innovative Pet Lab, looking at the hair tissue mineral analysis tests, NutriScan, making sure we don't have a hormonal health problem like a lot of pets do that's keeping them from healing. And then, of course, once again, looking for inflammation and leaky gut. When we know better, we can do better. But here's the thing, because you may be like, Dr. Katie, I can't access those tests. That's okay. You can still follow the frameworks and the protocols of removing, so stress, chemicals, toxins, food that might be putting inflammation in, replacing. These are digestive aids, things like herbs, enzymes, microbes, the vitamin minerals if they're potentially deficient. If we know we're not feeding a balanced diet, let's get them on a balanced diet. Let's support that digestion. We can re-inoculate. This is where there's so many great fermented foods, prebiotics, probiotics, postbiotics that are going to help. And then also too, using food therapy principles. So actually tapping into Chinese medicine to help our pets heal, where we can actually feed the good bacteria through a lot of these herbs that act as prebiotics. That's the food source for the beneficial bacteria, reduce inflammation and actually heal. And then of course, repair. This is where we tap into the power of herbs and supplements and nutraceuticals to actually heal that gut lining, repair that ecosystem. Using supportive foods and supplements, we need to repair maybe the environment. This includes stress and emotional health. Maybe we need to repair ourselves, and that's okay. But as long as we know, then we have a path, right? Very, very important. Making sure we're supporting the mitochondria. Those are our energy powerhouses in the cell, the detox functions, and then resetting. This comes down to that emotional health and the gut-brain axis. So I just wanted to share some of the paths and like the ways that I approach some of these other patients whose lives have changed through using some of these frameworks. Now, this is Reggie, who was getting acupuncture also. He had a lot of pain in his back and his hips. He was on a lot of pain medications too. So we actually moved him from kibble to a lightly cooked food and he thrived. Like that alone, honestly, that's a one thing you do and you see a change, please let me know because it like makes my heart so full when I hear those stories. We're also using other things that are going to help calm down inflammation naturally. So rather than using drugs, we can use nutraceuticals or like natural components that are going to help rebalance the body. So CBD is working on that endocannabinoid system to help calm down inflammation, but it's doing a lot of things. And there's actually specific receptors in the gut that will actually work with CBD to help calm down the gut inflammation too. So it's really neat plant, and it's non-psychoactive. It's not cannabis. So it's not going to make your pets high. Acupuncture treatments. This is where pets can get chiropractic. These are supporting physical therapy we can do to help our pets. And then, of course, using gut supporting supplements. So I mentioned things like your licorice, your L-glutamine, things like slippery elm. These will all vary depending on the pet, of course. We don't need to use all of them, but we need to be thinking about, does my pet need some gut repair? Curcumin, for its anti-inflammatory, it has anti-cancer properties. That's the beauty of these natural supplements and herbs, is that they have multimodal effects. They work synergistically together, and they tend to have less side effects than a conventional drug. And then, of course, omega-3s for their natural anti-inflammatory properties and supporting the cell membrane health. And then, of course, Tico, he came to me as a rescue. He got really, really sick from vaccinosis. From the rabies vaccine. We actually thought he had lymphoma, and we actually helped him through homeopathy, healing his gut. He had a lot of vomiting, diarrhea, not wanting to eat, using herb gardens, emotional health support, and also putting him on a raw food diet was a game changer for him. And then, of course, there's Moki. Moki came to us years ago when Finn passed, and he was a rescue cat. He has cerebellar hypoplasia, and he had severe diarrhea when we got him. He was a 8-week-old kitten that was already on a prescription diet, had been vaccinated, neutered, all the things, and he needed a lot of support. So we were able to, he's on a raw food diet now. He is so much healthier, doing so much better. He's just the most adorable little thing. And we also use emotional health with him too. So herb gardens, putting those down, using proper herbs to support different areas that we need. Cats are great with herb gardens. You can see him kind of playing around with those little organic rosebuds. And then, of course, too, playing, engaging, getting those cats, especially dogs tend to be easier going for walks, but getting them moving and getting that lymphatic system moving. And then also too, offering fresh herbs in the food. I'm showing a cat here sniffing some basil. A lot of people I find are afraid to add in a little bit of those herbs. When you think about herbs, and I'm talking about like the herbs that you would use to season your food, they are a highly concentrated source of vitamins, minerals, and other phytonutrients. And a lot of cats, I love going outside with Tico, and we have our own catnip plant, and I will pull off stalks, and he literally eats the flower buds and the leaves, and he just loves it. And I allow him to self-select that. We want to be adding these things in to add additional nutrient support. So there's so many different ways. Remember all these paths, all these foundations, these 5 pillars, and keeping in mind that 5R protocol to help heal gut health. We want to also look at personalized testing and thinking about getting your vet records and thinking about, where do I start? What is missing here? Where is a gap? What have I not seen yet? Where's this hole? That's how I look at my patients when I'm going through their cases and looking at where's the root cause and what are we missing? And then, of course, assessing those 5 pillars of health. Now, the big thing here, once again, information is great, but we can build up all the information, but if we never take action and implement, you're not going to get the results that you need. So that's really important to keep in mind. And here's something, right? I started holistic medicine because my husband got sick. We had an autoimmune disease condition. I had to go down the rabbit hole. I spent hours and hours, years of research, additional certifications, degrees to get to where I am now. You may already have a pet with allergies or another disease, and you vowed to yourself to do everything possible to not go down that path again, or you may want to do everything possible now to keep your current fur family healthy. This is the thing where the small steps and support from people who've been there before are really important compared to the naysayers or people who don't believe in your journey, whether that's your veterinarian, whether that's your family, whether that's your friends, because they may not know the power of holistic medicine, and don't allow them to dissuade you from taking action. because we don't want to just wait and see. Your time is now. You need solutions now. And here's the thing. This isn't theory. This isn't just a theory. We've been using these systems, these pillars, these frameworks for a long time with my one-on-one clients and community settings. So you heard me talk about Leo and Reggie, Tico, Roper, Moki, Finn, Spartacus, Kai. There's so many more pets. The system works. It works so amazingly well when you start implementing and when you start understanding how to look and assess your pet. And then you know what to use and how to heal them. And so if you're thinking I'm ready, where do I start? Is anyone thinking that? Anyone thinking like, where do I start for getting more help and guidance and support? Perfect. So here's the thing. I'm going to do something a bit crazy. This is new. So if you've been on a webinar in the past, this is something that's a little different. So I'm going to go through a program that we have. Now, we actually have a Better Gut Health program, and we've been running it. But the problem is that we were doing it on a kind of one-on-one small group level, and the results that we were getting were amazing. And so I wanted to make it accessible to all of you because you deserve the ability to create the change and the transformation that I'm seeing in pet parents that have gone through this, who have been on a similar health journey like yourself. So this is where it's actually a self-paced online program. You'll have lifetime access to the materials to be able to identify where are things off. We're going to go through the different weeks. It's actually a 6-week program, but I've allowed it to be able to go through as quickly as you want. Now, I still say you should go through everything, but it's broken down into 6 weekly modules with additional tools and resources to help guide you, to help uncover the root cause, but most importantly, what to do next. So that way, you know what you're treating, how to help them, how to support them, and the tools that I use to help heal pets you have access to. So this is helping you uncover those frameworks to really unlock true healing for your pet's gut health issues. So these are a couple of the clients that have gone through this program. So Jacqueline, as a first-time dog owner, I wanted to learn everything I could to give my dog the best foundation. At 2 years old, she didn't have many health issues, but had started developing allergies. The Better Gut Health protocols gave me the roadmap I needed, along with the support to get her to optimal health. Not only have her allergies resolved, but she seems happier and healthier all around. I feel more confident now in caring for her and have many tools if other issues arise in the future. I'm so thankful to have been able to learn from a vet that's incredibly knowledgeable, empowering, and holistically minded. So that is Luna there in that picture, who resolved her allergy issue. And then Kelly and her cute, precious little Dave. So she also went through our program too. Dave has had chronic GI issues for 6 years and no one has been able to help him. It's been so frustrating. Dr. Katie's the only vet I've worked with that can place all the puzzle pieces together. Dave's doing really well after 6 weeks, and I look forward to continuing my journey with Dr. Katie. She's the best, dedicated, whip smart, logical, positive, and understanding her program is intuitive and always can't get better. If you're thinking of working with her, it's worth every penny. And then, of course, you've already heard about Bethany with Spartacus, and then Lauren with her Buddy. Buddy has a clean platter, breakfast and dinner. He loves mealtime and now barks while I prepare his food. We started the gut health program in October. He has made progress ever since. We're so grateful. Buddy is 12 years old, and I've had him since he was a few months old. He's the healthiest he has ever been, even as a puppy. He's so happy and feels good. Thank you. Dr. Katie, you have changed our lives for the best, and you continue to provide the best guidance for us. Buddy came to me really sick. That's the thing. Most of these pets, the reason why they find me, and maybe why you're here, is because your pet's sick. We need to find a solution. And so this is an outline of how the program works. Once again, it's broken down into 6 weeks. It is all self-paced. You can go through it faster than 6 weeks, but I've set it up for you to have enough time to really digest, absorb, and test the knowledge with weekly quizzes also, because understanding what you're doing is the most important key. It's not about what to give next. It's about why we're doing something. So week one's really all about understanding systems and connections. So really breaking down physiology of digestion, its impact on gut health. But most importantly, how are these other systems interconnected for optimal health and where things can go wrong? And then starting to take you through some of the functional protocols for healing those imbalances. Now, week 2 is all about identifying sources of gut health imbalances. Once again, we're getting to the root cause. And this is where really dialing in that testing. What are some of these tests that we may want to do to pinpoint those root causes, speed up your healing journey, and help you identify rather than just guess what the next step is? So the week 3 is all about food and supplements and herbs to help optimize the microbiome support. So this is where we're taking those frameworks and applying them to restore the balance, and then looking at how can we really start creating and dialing in and these healing diets through Chinese food therapy principles. And then week 4 is all about that gut microbiome, brain access, emotional health, really understanding that connection and how it's all interconnected with everything else, and how you can support emotional well-being for gut health. Now, this includes some things for yourself too, because as I mentioned, we are a huge part of our pet's ecosystem. So giving you those natural remedies and tools to really reset emotional health in your pets. And then week 5 is all about detoxification. How to do it properly is the key, and how to use fresh whole foods and then certain types of supplements to really heal the body and keep your pet from having a detox reaction, but most importantly, clear those toxins that they may be building up that could be the cause of the gut health problem that you're seeing. And then week 6 is all about taking action, putting everything together, seeing it really play out in different case studies and demonstrating really how to apply it and get results for your pet. So it's all broken down for you. So this is just kind of like the brief glimpse at the Better Gut Health framework. And I'm sure, as you can imagine, this is just like the tiny tip of the iceberg, what we talked about tonight. So when it really comes to achieving optimal gut health and finding the root cause and fixing it. Now, you can either kind of continue to try to figure it out on your own. I imagine you're probably looking for a different way since you're on this call. And wanting to learn a different way, or you can start getting success and start making changes with a proven success path. But here's the thing. I have a feeling some of you have some questions, right? What about, so if you've already tried all these different supplements, herbs, and diets, what I found working with so many pet parents now and similar issues, gut health problems, allergy problems, acid reflux, a lot of them come to me and they say, I've tried everything. Here's the thing. We can try things in kind of a random manner, or we can use things according to the frameworks and the pillars. So the way that we set it up makes it very clear on, okay, I need to do this way. So maybe some of those supplements and herbs may have been helping, but they were used in the wrong way. So this is going to help set up those frameworks to better understand how to properly use it. Now, in terms of why is this different? I have a certain type of framework that I use and I love because of the results that we get. And it really helps, once again, to help you feel confident and empowered that you're actually assessing your pet based on those pillars and truly finding where the root cause is versus guessing. So there's a lot of things online. Super happy if you want to try all the things. I'm here about speeding up the process and making it easier for you. And that's what that program has really done and proved through a lot of pet parents who have already gone through it. Now, here's the other question I tend to get. How do I know if this is going to work for my pets? Now, I can't make guarantees. If someone makes a guarantee, I would run, to be honest. We can never make guarantees on health for other people. So if you have a doctor, you have a vet that says, I will 100% fix your pet, I wouldn't trust them. And the reason why is because I can't control what you do, your environment, your setting. What I can control is how my program shows up for you and gives you tools and resources. So that way you can fix those areas if you choose to take the action. But what I can tell you is you have lifetime access to it. So you can always refer back to it and get the help and guidance and understand where maybe we went off track a little bit. I can guarantee that for you. You will always have access to that. And I want to finish a little bit. We're going to talk a little bit more about the program, but a lot of people come to me because they can't see the forest for the trees. This is your opportunity to take the step back, get the frameworks, and better understand where we may be missing the actual root cause of why your pet won't heal. So keep that in mind. This is the bigger picture where we go big and then we dial in and we go deep to help heal and resolve those actual true root imbalances. Now, here's the thing. This program It actually used to be a $2,000 investment. This included a lot of the one-on-one work, the personalized testing, all those things. This was the limiting factor for being able to help more pet parents. So what I've done, this is the crazy thing, I've chopped it in not even half, a lot, because I want you to be able to access this program. The results we got were incredible. The feedback that I got, it blew me away. And everyone here, I want to make it accessible to you and not have money be an issue for you. So that way you can go through this, you can start identifying the root imbalance. You actually most likely have an email in your inbox with the link. You can also go to thenaturalpetdoctor.com and you can go to our store and you can click on this. It is all self-paced, it is online, so you can go through it at your own time. Whatever you need to go back to, there's the testing resources and all of that. But it is a self-paced program, so keep that in mind. So it is a bit different from our original program with the one-on-one and the community and the support, but it's still there to give you the tools, the guidance, and the frameworks so you can start taking action right now. Now, the big thing here, because I want you to get the transformation for your pets, and there's other things that come up. There's always other questions or other factors that can impair the healing of your pet, right? So there's also a lot of bonuses that are included in this course. So essentially the history of pet food and processed diet. So if this is a newer area, I want you to understand how pet food's made and how it came to be. Also, too, there's a webinar on avoiding harmful insecticides and natural repellents to use to help get you kind of reducing those toxins in your life and giving you other natural, helpful repellents, especially if you live in an area with a lot of fleas and ticks. Also, too, there's a video on how to use Chinese food therapy for your pets. So tapping into the energetics of food, so that way you can start creating more personalized diet or using your superfood toppers to really heal that gut health and the microbiome. Of course, reading pet food labels. A lot of pet parents, unfortunately, don't know how. So there's videos on that. And then, of course, too, to accompany the emotional health side, there's Shen disorder. Shen is like your personality behavior. So there's an entire lesson on how to use Chinese medicine for anxiety issues to help you there. We have a PDF guide for natural remedies for gut health issues and skin issues that include different herbs and supplements and dosages and recipes that you can use. Because I know a lot of you have pets experiencing health problems and symptoms, and we need to give them comfort while you're healing the root imbalance. So that guide is there for you to print off, download, so that way you can have the tools as you're healing your pet and you're going on this health journey. And then, of course, vaccines, they always come up. So there's actually a video, a webinar on the holistic approach to vaccinating your pet safely, going through titers, the different types of vaccines, what they are, what to ask your veterinarian. So there's a lot of extra bonuses because there's questions that come up, and I wanted you to also have those resources to help guide you, to make the path easier, to make the transformation easier to achieve. Now, your pet's health, I know it can be hard sometimes, right? And it's an investment. It's not an expense. And my goal for this program is to give you more tools that make this process easier to help you get the transformation you're looking for to truly heal your pet's gut health issues and maybe some of the other symptoms that they're dealing with.